Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to Legendary Leaders Podcast. I am your host, Coach Vett Jett, and I have a phenomenal guest. Oh my goodness, when I tell you my guest is amazing, they are amazing. And honestly, everyone, this is the first time I have had a personal friend on the show. And I think it's so befitting because they are a legendary leader. They have impacted my life in so many ways. We were talking behind stage, and I promise we almost kept talking, but we said we have to get this started. So I am going to introduce to you Brewa Kennedy. Brewa, thank you so much for being here, my friend. Oh my
That I
God.
am
I
I am so honored. Thank you so much. It's been a long, this has been a long time coming, and we have been saying for years now that we need to
years.
record our conversation. So finally, we're doing it.
Finally, oh my goodness. You know what? You've been my mentor. You've been my friend. You've been my sponsor in so many ways. And I'm telling you, audience, if you don't have a Brewa in your life, you need to get one. And in the next 30 minutes, you will
Thankfully, there's
understand what
just
I
one.
mean. There's just one. There is just one. Just one. Brewa, did you want to tell the audience a little bit about your background, a little about who you are, what you do, what makes you the Brewa Kennedy?
Sure, I'll get right into that. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to answer most of your questions, many of your questions in threes because it's
Threes.
easiest for
Okay.
humans to remember things in threes. So,
Yes.
uh, who am I? I am first, a passionate father of two
Mm,
amazing adult children and
wow.
the grandfather of a precious little one who I unabashedly dote on nonstop. I
Wow.
am what has been called a Renaissance man. I've had quite literally nine lives, maybe even
Wow.
more. And I'm a serial nomad. Grass
Mm,
is not allowed to grow under my feet. So that's me in a
wow.
nutshell.
I love that, Bree. Wow. Oh my goodness. You're a nomad. Grass is not allowed to grow under your feet. So you know what? I'm gonna hop right into it, Bree.
Okay.
Tell us, because you've always given me great advice. You've always given me great direction, even when we were just backstage. Oh my goodness. So if you had one nugget, one thing that you know now that you didn't know in the beginning of like your career journey in life, what would that one nugget be? Or three, like you said, threes if you have three of them. What would those nuggets be?
Yeah. Three nuggets. Well, anyone who knows me knows that I'm always going to say this first, which is prioritize your family
Mm,
um,
wow.
above all else. Children are our future. Uh,
Mm,
they are our legacy,
mm,
and being blessed with the opportunity to father children has been by far the best experience of my life. Children
wow.
are expensive. They are
Mm,
difficult at times.
okay.
Yes, all
Wow.
true.
Mm, all
But they
true.
are our future and they are priceless. I
Wow.
would say to round that number one nugget out,
Mm,
embrace God's plan for us. Be fruitful and
wow.
multiply. This is not something ever heard anyone live to regret. Have children
Mm,
and
have
don't wait.
children
Do it.
and don't wait.
Yes.
Oh my
So
God.
that's number one.
Okay.
Uh, the next one I would say is never stop learning, and I know this one resonates with you
Okay.
because you're
Yeah.
you're always learning. You know,
Always learning. Yes.
everybody in our current culture wants to be an expert. And I think that's not a
Okay.
bad thing. Hey, being an expert is
Mm,
not a bad thing. It's what sets us apart from others.
okay.
Um, but if you are comfortable, you're not growing. So
Mm,
always be
wow.
learning. And then
Okay.
lastly, I would say, and this one really ties back Vett, to your time in the military, I'm sure you'll agree with this,
Mm,
which is who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. And so
mm,
when we unpack the idea of, for example, the easiest example, our personal routines. So I get up at
mm.
5:30 a.m. every morning,
Wow.
regardless. And, I have certain things that I do during my morning routine that kind of set the stage for the day.
Okay.
And what that does really is, because I have this habit,
Okay.
it sets the stage for how I show up in the other roles that I have in my life. It sets the stage for how I show
Okay.
up as the father of my children, as the
Mm.
grandfather of my grandchild, as this person at work, or
Okay.
that person in that space. So how you show up in one place is how you show up in all places.
Mm.
It's not really possible to be more than one person, unless, of course, you are the talented Mr. Ripley. That's a
Nice.
play on.
I like
For
that.
those
I
of you who
like
haven't
that.
seen
I
that
like
film, please
that.
watch it. It's an
I
interesting film.
like
But yes.
that. Oh, wow. Rewa, those are such good nuggets. And I think, especially in today's time, where one, like you said, the first one, where children are different than they used to be. And a lot of times the family dynamics are different from what we used to originally see, what they say back in our day, And so having that
Mhm.
appreciation for children, I can admire. And especially coming from a father. A lot of times you hear that from mothers, but the adoration that you have for your children as a father is amazing. Because I think you break down
Thank
that
you.
barrier of mother, father, and you do parent. You do parent.
Yes.
So, how do you think that has influenced your children? Do you think they're closer to you because you have such a love and desire to be a father, to have children? Do you think that shapes your relationship?
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
Absolutely. But, here's something I think a lot of people miss about parenthood,
Hmm.
which is that, and this also goes to birth order. So
Okay.
I'm the oldest
Hmm.
of four children.
Okay.
That was my first leadership role. Being the oldest
Exactly.
child was my first
Mm.
leadership role. Being a
Wow.
parent is a leadership role. And
Mm.
so anytime you are in a situation where you are a leader, this goes back to the last point I made, which is how you show up in this place is how you show up everywhere. And so
Exactly.
I have always taken my role as a leader in all of those contexts very seriously.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
obviously, I have a much broader stake in my leadership role as a big brother and my leadership role as
Okay.
a parent, obviously,
Mm. Yeah.
but that carries over into how I lead in other contexts, how I
Ooh,
get to.
wow. And that
Mhm.
makes perfect sense, Brewa, because I never forget when I first met you in Toastmasters and we just sat next to each other, right? Of course,
Mhm.
divine order. And
Yes.
you had that nurturing care, you had that kindness of a father, and we didn't even know each other. And of course, your role and your title was quite up there, right? So, but you broke down that wall and it wasn't any separation, and I think that that's truly amazing. So I love that. Oh my God. So tell me this, your second nugget about learning. Rewald, what do you like to learn?
Say one more time.
What do you like to learn?
Oh my goodness. Now that's not an easy question
Ooh.
to answer, Vet,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I I'm so curious about a lot of things.
Mm.
This age of large language models, as you
Okay.
know, has been
Yeah.
transformative for me because I get to really explore all of the things that I'm just so curious about. And so I would say that maybe to simplify the answer to your question, I love complex things. I like
Okay.
breaking down complex things into, to use your word, nuggets. Um,
Okay.
I'll go back to, how we met. We met in the commercial aviation industry,
Yeah,
which is a very complex, it's such a complex industry.
it is.
Most people look at it from the outside in and they think, airplanes, seats, baggage, right? But there's so many
Exactly.
that happen backstage that orchestrate, what you actually don't even see. It looks seamless and easy, but it's actually not.
It's not at all. Oh my God, you said it. It is not easy at
Yeah.
all. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I
So
love that.
yep. So
So
yeah,
so
complex
then
things. I work in
okay.
the insurance industry now, which is very complex as well, largely
Mm,
misunderstood by most of the
okay.
population. So yeah,
Wow.
I would say I like to break down complex things. In fact, my tagline
Mm.
is bringing clarity, transforming complexity to clarity. So yeah,
I love that. Oh my goodness. So there's a complexity leadership theory, and you fall right into that, making the complex things easier and a leader that works in the complexity of different items and situations. So this is your
yes.
last nugget, Brewa, which is so awesome. How you show up in one place is how you show up in another place. How does someone show up better than they are now? Like how do you get to that better place of showing up everywhere that you are?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to point to, and for the listeners, this is something that I encourage everyone to do, which is to Google uh, Atomic Habits by
Yeah.
a gentleman named James Clear. That is literally his name, James
Okay.
Clear. Uh, Several podcasts he has appeared on to talk about this concept, but also
Okay.
get the book. I promise you, it will change your life. But the premise of the book is that you improve on things little by little, and it may not
Okay.
seem impactful uh, with the little things that you do to improve
Mm.
or change things, but over time, those things compound. It's like compound interest. And
Ooh,
so,
ooh.
an easy example of that would be most of us struggle with fitness. Most of us do.
Okay. Yes.
Um, but I think it's easy to say that it's perhaps because we have raised the bar so high that
Okay. Ooh.
it's not helpful when don't we don't make the mark with our fitness
Okay.
goals. So
Mm.
for example, when I started out in my fitness journey, I said, I'm only going to require myself to do this activity for,
Okay.
10 or 15 minutes a day. Put the bar
I
really,
like that.
really, really, really low.
Oh
Most of the time,
wow.
we're going to exceed that because it's
Okay.
so easy. It
It's so
seems silly.
easy.
And then
Exactly. Oh
you can
wow.
always kind of move the mark, you can inch it up, but put the bar really,
Mm.
really low. There used to be a skit on Saturday Night Live called Lowered Expectation, Lowered Expectation.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of
Okay,
funny,
Imma have
but
to look
yeah,
that up. Imma have to Google
yeah,
that. Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah,
That, you know what, Brewa, and you referred that book to me, and it's a great book, and I do have
right?
it. I even did a retrospective with one of my agile teams on the
Mhm,
book Atomic Habits
mhm.
and just making small changes every day. So then that leads me, you know what I thought about when you said the small habits, the
Yes,
small wins, just keeping it incremental, right? So you know where I'm
I know
going,
where you're going.
keeping it incremental. So,
Yes,
Brewa, let's switch it over to agile, right? Let's switch it over
yes.
to
Mhm,
product, right? And the
mhm.
methodology and mindset of keeping it small, keeping it incremental. So now
Yes,
your
yes.
role currently I'll now I think the phrase is the 9 to 5, right? So in the
We'll call
nine
it
to
that.
five world, because so many people play so many different roles. So in that aspect of being a product owner, and you're good at it, and I've seen you
Thank you.
light up, and I've seen you in a lot of roles. Not that I've seen you in a lot of roles, but I've seen you in business. And this is probably, I would say, one of the times that I see you light up on a continual basis. Like
Yeah.
Your face
Yes.
looks lighter, your spirit seems lighter. You seem really complete in this role, Brewa. What
Oh my
is it
goodness.
about being a product
Well,
owner that makes you
I
complete?
oh my goodness, I'm about to light up.
Yeah, I see, I knew it.
So, well,
I
first
knew
of
it.
all, before I get into that, I have to give a shout out to Coach Vett Jett because
Oh, thank
it was
you.
you that there was a time, and maybe you don't even know this. There was a time during the last days of my
Mm,
journey in commercial aviation where I started to become a little bit directionless. There was
okay.
a path that I knew that I could go, but that I didn't really
Mm,
want to.
okay.
And then there
Mm,
was the other path, the bifurcation of the other path, which was the unknown. And
okay.
I remember you talked so much because you worked in an IT role at that point, and you talked so much about getting certified as a Scrum Master, and I was like,
Mm.
I can't believe you say Scrum Master. What is this thing? And so
What is this?
you were the one. You even said to me, I'll never forget it. You said, "Well, you're a Scrum Master," and I was like, "What do you mean I'm a Scrum Master? I don't even know what that
Mm,
is." And so that's how I
mm,
really became. I was introduced to the agile space. I don't know how much
mm.
your audience really knows about what agile delivery is, and so I'll just quickly summarize that it is
Okay.
a life cycle of a product versus a project with definitive beginning and end points.
Mm,
Uh,
mhm.
and to the point that you made earlier, it's iterative, it's customer focused, and it
Mm,
is incremental. What I love about being a product owner, first just kind of elevator speech what a product owner is. It is a
okay.
specialist in IT development oversight. So
Okay.
not necessarily the doer, but
Okay.
just kind of overseeing that. The person translates business strategies into
Mm,
small projects, providing like really clear criteria
mm.
for acceptance of the work as being done, and also ensuring, really good delivery of software
Okay.
solutions. And so
Mm,
here are the reasons that I enjoy this role. I'll break it down
okay.
into three.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
The first thing I love about the product owner role is that it provides me with a front row seat to
Mm,
both the business,
okay.
uh, while also giving me a front row seat to the technology that enables the business. So I know a little
Mm.
bit about a lot of
You know, a
things.
little bit. Dangerous, dangerous,
So
dangerous.
dangerous.
Oh,
Which
dangerous.
ties
I
back to the
love it.
curiosity thing, right? I'm always curious about,
Mm,
what can I learn, from this and that. The second thing that I love about this role is that I get to use my acquired leadership skills. Um,
yes.
and I get to influence to the
Okay.
benefit of my stakeholders, just significant outcomes.
Okay.
It's so,
Mm,
and a lot of people don't get this. A lot of people think that leadership is just top down. It's not. It's a lot of listening. And in this
listening.
role,
Yeah.
I do a lot of what we're doing right now. It's just listening to, the end user of a software product and understanding,
Mm,
how is it that they interact with the software product? When they press that button, what is the
yeah.
outcome or what would make it better? What would make
Mm,
their role be more efficient? And so there's a lot of listening. And sometimes I have
wow.
to go back and oftentimes I'll record the conversations like we're doing now, and I'll go
Okay.
back and re-listen to make sure I heard what I think I heard so that I can
Yeah.
again translate that into small incremental changes that we can make in the
Yeah.
software product.
I love
Then
that.
finally, the third thing that I really, really like about this role is that it it is a role that necessarily requires
Mm,
constant evolution and refinement. There is never one
mm,
best way to do things. Sometimes you
okay.
might try something here. So, for example, for those of you who are not in technology, use user acceptance testing. What that really
Mm-hmm.
is just saying, hey, we built this piece of functionality that you asked for. Now we're going to allow you to test it so that we
Test it.
can determine whether or not this is acceptable for the use case that you described. And sometimes it
Mm,
isn't. And so
okay.
I've that that process of like facilitating user acceptance testing is something that I haven't really landed on the best. There's not one best way
Okay.
to do it, I have found.
Mm,
And
okay.
so I'm
Okay.
always kind of like trying different ways of doing that to make sure that
Yeah.
the outcomes are what are expected from the stakeholders.
Oh my goodness. And you know what, Brewa, that is so key. And I love the way you broke that down. I think that's probably the best
Thanks.
description I've ever heard of a product owner. And so that's so awesome. And I heard what you said about influencing, right? Leadership
Yes.
is about influencing,
Yes.
not from the top down, but from
No.
listening. From
That's right.
listening. So Brewa, what is your advice for leaders? So let's pivot this because I love you in the leadership role, right? Leadership aspect too.
Thank you.
So, Rewa, because you've been a leader of people for the
Yes.
longest time. I think this is probably the first time in like a very long
Yeah,
time
it's one of the
that you're not
first
leading
times.
people.
Yes.
Rewa,
Yes.
you've
Yeah.
always led people. You are
Yes.
you're a people. Okay, okay, audience. Okay, let me tell you why I love Rewa, right? Because Rewa, we used to work in aviation. Rewa will walk through the halls like the president, like not a good president. And he'll be shaking hands and kissing babies and he would know, oh my God, Brewa would know something about everyone that he passed by. Like, how do you remember that? like, how do
I'm
you
glad you
remember
brought
that,
that up.
Brewa?
I thank you for recognizing that and thank you for bringing it up. So I would say, in response to that, this ties into the product owner role, but really leadership as a
Mm,
whole, which is it's about it's about people and
about people. Mm,
leading, whether it's leading people or leading projects or leading initiatives, is
mm,
the point that you just made. It is about influence. How do you
mm.
influence the best outcomes? It is
Okay.
driven by the people that are behind the different functions, right? And so
Okay.
those people are real. I mean, they're just like you and I. They have
Okay.
families, they have mortgages,
Mm,
they have, extracurricular activities, they have passions. And so
mm,
learning about them and connecting
okay.
with them and having
Mm,
a genuine interest in them
okay.
actually provides fuel to help you to influence things. And so, yes, I mean,
Mm.
I actually learned this from Herb Kelleher. You know,
Oh,
I had the honor, I had the privilege of working at
wow.
Southwest Airlines when Herb Kelleher was still at the helm. And he
Wow.
was like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
really did
Yeah.
learn that from him. I mean, you could meet Herb today and
Yeah.
not see him for years, and he would
Yeah.
remember your name and he would remember something about you. That
Wow.
made such a huge impact on how I see the world. And so
Mm.
it that is a transferable skill set that really
Okay.
can take you just to amazing places.
Wow, that's the influence, by getting to know the people behind the product or the project, and just breaking that down to what are you, who are you, and what do you need. So I love that.
Right.
So Brewa, how do you know what your customers need, right? Because customers in the product world or in any world, right? Even if we relate it to leadership and the people, how do you find out what your customer needs? Even when you do that user acceptance testing, that may not go well. So how do you find out what their true need is? How do you get that out of them?
Well, that's an interesting question because the truth of the matter
Mm,
is that most of the time the customers don't really know what they want. They really don't know.
Mm,
They
exactly.
have an idea of the problem that they need solved. They
Okay.
usually have a pretty good idea of that, but what the solution is, which oftentimes there's
Mm,
not just one. There again,
okay.
you
There's
know,
many.
there's many different ways to skin a cat, right? But
Exactly.
the so listening to the customer really is the best, it's the lowest
Mm,
hanging fruit, is just
okay.
learning how to be a really good listener. And
Ooh.
yeah, sometimes you're not going to get it right. But I think not just in agile, but also in lean, which Lean Six
Okay.
Sigma, there's the concept of the five whys. So it's peeling back
Yes.
the
Yes.
layers and asking the question behind the question behind the question, and really getting to the root
Yeah.
of, you know, why someone sees something a specific way.
Wow.
Really just having the passion to develop a deep understanding of your customer, of
Wow.
what their plight is, like being able to walk a mile in their shoes and
Wow.
just get them.
Just get, oh my God, that's so good. Oh my God, Brewa, I love that. And you know what that leads me to thinking about change management,
Yes.
because that's a big thing now, right? Just understanding what's going on in an organization with the team. How do you how do you facilitate that change, Brewa? Because you're changing what they know, what they like, what they've been used to. So do you consider yourself like a change manager or a change agent?
Oh, there is a graphic that I wish I could show here that kind of talks about all of the tentacles that product
Uh,
owners have in their roles. There's so many different hats that they wear. I'll share it with you after this, and maybe if you'd
you know, I
like, we can
want
put it in the show notes. But um, I would say, yes, I mean, most definitely, product owners are change leaders.
yeah.
I think the best way to approach change management is with empathy. This may sound like a
Mm,
soft skill, and it is a soft skill, is to be
wow.
empathetic, to say oftentimes what is unsayable, having the courage to say what is
Oh, okay.
unsayable, but also
Mm,
calling out when things maybe don't go right, and letting them
okay.
know that you understand what the impact is of,
Okay.
something that didn't go right. I had something that
Okay.
just recently happened. We released a new feature on our software platform that had an
Okay.
unintended consequence that we didn't catch during testing. And this
Okay.
happens sometimes, right? And so,
Right.
of course, I prioritized a fix for this with our
Okay.
software development team, but there was also that change management communication
Mm,
piece with the users,
okay.
which was to say,
Mm,
hey, we recognize the impact of this glitch that we
okay.
did not discover during testing.
Wow.
We recognize the impact of that. We've prioritized a fix for it. Here's a
Okay.
workaround, which may not be fun,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's temporary. And
Temporary.
here's when we expect to put that into production, when we expect to release the fix for
Oh.
your problem. So it's really
Oh
like
my God.
helping the users understand, like, I get you. I've
Mm,
seen like how this impacts negatively, sometimes your work. And
okay.
hey, like, we're on your side. We're working to fix this
I
and quickly.
love it.
Yeah.
Brewa, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You have given us a master class in leadership. You've given us a master class in how to handle every situation from parenting to the corporate world, just to your everyday life. Oh my God, Brewa,
Thank you.
a rock star as always,
Thanks for
as
the
always.
opportunity.
Yes. Oh my God. We are rounding out our time. Is there any other nuggets that you have on your mind that you want to just leave and drop before we go? If not, it's okay. But I
I
just wanted to give
do
you that
actually.
opportunity. Yay.
I
Okay.
do. I kind of figured you would ask me such a question.
Okay.
And where I'm going to tie this in is with it first with a quick story. And that
Okay.
is the story that you kind of touched on, which was how you and I met, which was in
Mm,
Toastmasters. You were the president of our Toastmasters club. Toastmasters, for those of you who don't know, is it's a speaking platform where you're able to really exercise your speaking skills. Everybody is responsible for speaking in some context, whether it's ad hoc in the elevator or
yes.
in a more formal setting, like on stage or in a podcast like this one. And
Mm,
so Vett was the president of that chapter. Um, and you had such an energy that I wanted to be
mm.
connected with you. I
Oh, thank
thought that I
you.
knew you. I really did.
Yeah, we always say that.
You, but in
Mm,
fact I didn't. But I wanted to know you because your energy was
wow.
just so vibrant and welcoming.
Oh, thank
And
you.
so I'll never forget that you asked me at some point, you said, "Would you be my mentor?" And I was, of course,
Mm,
honored by that, and I did accept. But what I want to leave the listeners with is this. First of all, mentorship is something that
mm.
everyone should engage in, whether as a mentor or a mentee.
Okay.
Um, there are a couple of things about mentorship that I think people kind of don't get, which is sharing of knowledge and wisdom with others who are
Mm,
earlier on in their path. It actually reinforces your own experience when you're teaching someone
okay.
else or sharing knowledge or wisdom with someone. You actually don't realize how much you already know. And so that's
Exactly.
just been so life-giving for me. I appreciate the opportunity to do that and to continue a friendship with you.
Yeah.
And then the
Oh,
other thing is, and this is really key, which is mentorship is actually a two-way street. Um,
yeah.
you
Wow.
learn from each other, and a lot of people don't
Mm,
really see that. They don't really know it.
wow.
They kind of think the
Okay.
mentor is the one who's there to teach, which they are, but the mentee is also
Mm,
teaching. And so I just want to thank you for the opportunity.
yeah.
Thank you for the ask, and thank you for what our relationship has evolved into over the years.
Yeah.
It's been
Oh,
wonderful. And thank you for allowing me
oh.
today. It's been so much fun.
Brewa, you are a rock star as always, and I thank you so much for being my guest. I couldn't think of another or greater person to round out the season one, right, of Legendary Leaders, as we go into season two of the Vett Jett show. But this right here, audience, is what you should seek in your own life for development, mentorship, and honestly, what we should grow, right? I mean, you talked about learning, continuous improvement, just small increments, atomic habits, everything. Oh my goodness, everything just jam packed with greatness for life. And I say thank you, Brewa. I know the best is
That
yet to come.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that.
Amen
Thank you
to
so much
that.
for the time today. I appreciate you always.
It's my pleasure. Well, audience, this has been the Legendary Leaders Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you know anyone that would just like to grow in their development, please like and share this podcast because it will be a blessing to them. Friends, until we meet next time, I am Coach Vett Jett. Have a great day, everyone. And when you don't know what else to do, be a legendary leader. Bye for now, friends.